Hi everyone, and welcome once again to the Pilgrim Story Hour. I'm Mony Dojeiji. And on this episode, I would like to invite you to take a moment out of your plans for pilgrimage, or even if you're walking, to stop for a moment and reflect on what is sacred to you. Now, sacred has many meanings to many people, but to me, what is sacred is something that is just simply beyond the physical. Now, pilgrims throughout the ages and across all traditions have embarked on that quest to touch that something, that indefinable, that is infinite, whether it's in the cathedral in Santiago, whether it's along the Camino, or any of the many sacred locations around the world, trying to somehow connect with something that has meaning and that has some magic beyond just simply what is physically there. And of course, pilgrims to this day continue to do so. But what if the sacred isn't just merely out there? What if the sacred is also in here, inside our own hearts, in our own beings? And pilgrimage is merely the way in which you contact that. The story I'd like to share with you today around what is sacred to me and how I came to understand that the sacred is within me and all around me happened just before the Camino. And in fact, it was what actually pushed me to go on pilgrimage. You know, I was one of those people who really did not believe that anything existed beyond what I couldn't see and touch. So to me, if I couldn't see it, if I couldn't touch it, it didn't exist. Very left brain, very rational. And as I began to go through my own personal questing towards understanding who am I and what is my life and how can I live a life with meaning, a friend of mine came to me one day and said, "Oh my God, you absolutely have to come see this psychic." I'm saying, psychics, I don't believe in psychics. I believe I control my own destiny, my own future. I don't believe in that stuff. And she said to me, "You really have to come. I think it's going to be something really important." And I finally allowed her to drag me out there, and I went as a total skeptic. And the woman that we met, was quite lovely, and she was very welcoming. Her house was normal, everything looked normal. There wasn't any of that juju stuff that I expected to find. And as we began to speak, she just said to me, you have a lot of wisdom that you just haven't tapped into, that you already have all that you need to know. You just don't believe it, you don't trust it. And I'm saying, yeah, okay. And she was telling me about all these books that I could be reading, and I wrote down the names of the books. And then she says to me in a moment, she goes, that you are surrounded by angels at every single moment. And she's saying that as if it's the most natural thing in the world. I'm saying, really? We all have angels? And she said, well, of course, you all have angels. And then she pauses and says, as a matter of fact, they wish to speak with you. And I said, what? That cannot be real. And she said, but she's very serious. And her face changes and she says to me, wait a moment, I'm going to record this to make sure that we capture what it is that they want to say. And the energy and everything in the room just all of a sudden felt very quiet. You could hear a pin drop. And she started to speak. And I have the words recorded, but the essence of it was that my angels were speaking to me, saying to me that the difficulties that I had gone through in my life were an important part of where I needed to go next. That I was perhaps too much in my mind, and that they were continually trying to speak with me through signs, through intuitions, through feelings, hunches that I had, but I would always dismiss them and that I always ignore them. And that their constant work with me is to get me to remember that I am deeply loved and that I am never alone on the journey. And, of course, by now I'm crying no matter how skeptical I may have felt. There was a feeling of being completely surrounded and completely embraced by a tremendous love. And when she finished the recording, I just had this knowing that no matter what step I took, that I would be well accompanied. And that's why I say that part of their message to me was to not only look to them to know that I am supported and guided, which is important, that there is something more than me out there, but that I too, I am made of that same sacred stuff that is all around me as well, that I look outside for. And so the journey for me really became looking at what is the sacred within and also at the sacred without. Because one of the things that they also said to me, which really impacted me, was, why do you criticize yourself so much? Why are you so hard on yourself? that you have made wise decisions in the past, and that you will continue to make wise decisions in the future, and that you expect that your life will continue to unfold kind of step by step, whereas life is a grand mystery and it unfolds oftentimes in circles. You feel like you've overcome one thing, but then it brings you back to relive that lesson, but from a higher perspective, from a more loving perspective. There was just so much wisdom and so much love in what I heard that it gave me confidence to also look within, to really touch that sacred within me as well, because that really is how they made me feel, that I too was sacred and that I was made of the same sacred stuff that is all around me as well. So I hope you take a moment as a pilgrim to really reflect on what is sacred to you. What does it mean to touch that which is infinite and that is beyond just simply the physical in your life? Whether it's on the Camino, whether it is off the Camino, whether it's inside the Cathedral of Santiago itself. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Pilgrim Story Hour. If you'd like to learn more about me and about my walks with Alberto, my pilgrimages, I invite you to visit my website, which is walkingforpeace.com, where you'll learn a lot more. Thank you again for tuning in, pilgrims, and buen camino.